Hello, this is Olga Jevtich. I'm Miss Virginia Senior America 2003. This is Fashion Notes. As you can see, me have different things about us. This is an artist. The lady that I met, actually I saw her work at a little gallery in Occoquan, Virginia, which is a very cute town. I'm sure, you know, it's nice to visit on weekends. They have a little cute shops and gallery, and it's known, I think, as a very artsy town. But anyway, that was a little gallery. It's called A la Carte, which has a cute name. So I saw her work and I said, well, I have to call this lady because, you know, her work is so exceptional. And I like to see things, as you know, that people do with hands. It's not something that is made by machines that you can buy in your neighborhood store. Those are things that are made by artists, and she is producing, you know, she's going to show us how she does some of the things and to tell us all about her work as an art and glass artist. Her name is Linda Conry. I hope I pronounced her name okay. Welcome, Linda, to the show. It was really good to, you know, that you came and to show us how you work, how in the world you do all this with the glass. You know, it's a three-dimensional, you know, as you see the pictures around us, they're all three-dimensional. And, you know, these flowers and things, I'm sure they're very, you know, difficult and fragile to work with, but she is going to tell us a little bit about it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you could come and tell us about your beautiful creation. And how did you start working with the glass? You know, it must be difficult. I know sometimes, you know, I saw, you know, with the flame going on and they shape the glass this and that way. Is this how it's done? Because I really do not know anything, you know, about it. That's all when I saw, you know, in the malls, I don't know, some demonstration, probably at some craft shows, you know, that I saw how people are doing. But this, you know, she can shape it in any shape. And also what is fascinating with you see the colors, different colors. How in the world do you do it? and you know, how did you start doing it, first of all?
Well, I, like your previous guest from our gallery, I have been doing artwork since I was young enough to get the lipstick out of my mom's purse and draw on the wall.
Okay.
I was always doing art. I started doing glass back in 1992. We were, my husband was in the military and we were stationed on Guam, a little bitty island in the middle of the ocean. And I had a backdoor neighbor who did stained glass, traditional stained glass. And she taught me the initial first, how to cut glass and how to do the traditional, what you see in the church windows. And I've been doing it since then, and I've always explored, I'm always like challenging myself on different ways to do glass and different things to do with the glass. And that is one of the neatest thing about the glass art movement now, is there are so many different ways and things that you can do with the glass. That it's not just a traditional, you know, flat what you see in the windows anymore. Back in the 1970s is when people first started being able to have hot glass or warm glass work at home, where they had kilns and stuff, but it was still something you couldn't, not very many people had because it was very expensive. In the 1990s is when really it started getting to affordable to where you could have a kiln, maybe a little kiln at home. I started doing.
Is it kiln for drying?
No, it's a hot kiln. It's very similar to a pottery kiln, but glass has to be much more controlled when it's going up in temperature and down in temperature, because it'll break if it's much more susceptible to thermal shock. You know, and so a glass kiln is like a pottery kiln, but is a little bit different, that it has more control in it. And I started out with a small kiln, like most people do, because you can afford it.
Of course, and also to see if you really would like to do it.
Exactly.
You know?
And I kept telling my friend who was trying to get me to do it that no, I don't want a glass kiln. I want to stay with traditional stained glass. I don't like that fused. This kind of work is called fusing, because you're fusing the glass. You're actually heat altering it.
So what is the glass before it's glass? Glass?
I brought a few pieces to show what it starts out like.
So you buy the sticks? Or
Well,
what?
for the flat glass, like what you see in the vases here, and the backgrounds of the panels, of the back parts, you buy the glass like this, so a sheet of glass.
A sheet of
And it
glass.
already has the color in it, the
And
manufacturer.
they manufacture in different colors, do
Yes, exactly. Some of them
Okay.
are clear, some are solid like this, with different designs. Sometimes they're plain, and you can add the design to it just in the kiln. But almost all of it, almost everything that started out as a sheet of glass. It's very sharp on the edges, so you have to handle it carefully. And and then you just do different things. You cut it. So like the woven piece at the end down here, that's actually woven glass. And the way you I made it, is I took a sheet of glass like this that's flat, and I cut it in small, narrow strips, and then put it
But
on
it has to be warm when you cut.
No, it's cold. It's
it's
like
cold.
this. It's room temperature when you cut. You score it with a diamond wheel, and then you break it. And there's different techniques that you learn how to do
Does
that.
it break? Does sometimes break
The wrong way? Yep, very often. And
Can you reuse it?
yes, you can reuse it, or you can change your design to incorporate it, or you can
So
cut
there's
it
no
new.
waste, actually.
No, there's no waste.
Good.
I have bins and bins and bins of glass, lots of different, sorted by color and the type of glass, because there's different kinds of glass too. But so like the woven piece there, started out as flat glass, and then I put it on what's called a mold, and it would make,
See this.
yeah, that one, carefully, it's very fragile. It would make hills and valleys, much like a paper fan, when you would fold a paper fan up and you have the little hills and valleys. And so then you take those hills and valleys and you weave them together, and that's how you get all this interwoven.
And then you, not just that, but you just add the flowers.
Yes, and then I
how
make
do
the
you do
flowers.
that?
The flowers, those flowers are made out of powdered glass. The glass is literally like powdered sugar, only glass. And you have to wear special equipment so that you
Glasses.
don't breathe it in, because it can ruin your lungs. The powdered glass. But I would make each individual petal. So each of the flowers that you see, I would make the petal, sifting it on a stencil that I had cut, and then fuse it in the kiln, and it takes all those little powders pieces and makes them into a piece of glass. And then I make my flowers, and then I make my design. So it's several stages.
So do you have a mold for flowers, or how?
No, I make my own stencils. In the case of these, the dogwoods here are very thin. You can see they're very thin, and they're not
They're
very
very
dimensional.
fragile?
Yeah, once they're fired, they're not so fragile, but they are glass.
And this is like a decorative piece.
Yes,
so you put it on the wall.
You can put it on the wall, or you can put it on a stand like that on a
this is like
table.
for
You could hang it in
display.
a window as well. Whatever, anything you
And
wanted.
I'm sure the reflection, from the light will,
coming through,
coming through. Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
This is very
That's a very
interesting.
different. And then let me. I'm going to save this for last, because this is a little different technique. The pieces here are also started out like these vases. I call them vessels, actually, because they don't just have to be a vase. Start out as a piece of glass like this, and I put it on different kinds of shapes of things. If they're stainless steel, they can go in a glass kiln and not melt, and you can use that as a mold. And so I would put this on top of a martini shaker upside down. The metal
Yes,
martini
yes, of
shakers.
course,
Put it on top of a martini shaker upside down, and put it in the kiln. And I take the temperature very high up to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And it softens the glass but doesn't melt it. And so
And then how do you have some special glasses? I mean, the gloves?
No, I can't do anything. It's sitting on the mold like this. And when it's in the kiln, it starts out flat like this piece of glass. Okay. So and then the temperature makes the glass drape and fall down and make all the folds. And then when I'm done, and when it's done, I turn it upside right, and I have a vase. But I can't control how the folds go. So every piece is different.
It goes by itself.
Yes, it goes by
But
itself.
I see there are different colors. So,
Yes.
how do you do that?
So I would take 2 pieces of glass. So like in this one, I took a clear one that had the little stringers on it, and a green piece of glass, and I put them catty corner to each other. So there's 8 points going around. You understand?
Yeah,
so
I
there's two
understand.
pieces of glass so
Yeah,
there'll be
yeah.
another piece here, and I put it in the kiln.
And
then,
they're on different colors.
yes, and they're in different colors. So there was a green piece of glass and a clear piece of glass. And then it would drape down, and then since it's clear, you can see the green through the clear, and you get that look.
I see. And how long does it take you? You know, because this is not something that you can do it right. It is in stages.
Right. This one. The vases are the easiest thing I make, and they take about 24 hours to make. That doesn't include cutting. You know, cutting is fairly easy because it's a square. The woven piece took me about 4 weeks to make. Because it was in lots of different stages. But my vases I can make fairly quickly, but it takes about a 24-hour cycle for the glass to heat up and then cool back down to room temperature.
And this glass you can buy they come in different colors.
Yes, and I could buy the glass in different places in the Washington D.C. area. I have 3 or 4 different shops that I get my glass from. And
can they use it, for example, on this as is for I don't know, for put some on the wall to put some designers as is or this is just made up for
No, you can use it as is, so long as you have a way that the edges are not sharp, because the edges are quite sharp. This one's fairly safe, but a lot of times the edges will be very sharp. And so if you have a way of making it not sharp, you grind it or you put it in the kiln and soften it. Then, but yes, a lot of people use, especially this very decorated glass, sometimes in like their cabinet doors, in their kitchen.
Oh, yeah,
it's the same glass. It's the same glass, only I'm taking it and cutting it and doing different things with it. The fusing glass is a little bit different glass, but it is still comes in sheets like this. And it's just the different kinds of glass heat up and cool down at different temperatures, and that's all a very technical thing that it took many years to learn how to
learn. I'm sure, and by making mistakes and correcting
exactly.
it,
Lots of
I'm
mistakes.
sure there is something that you cannot read in the book. All of this.
And I've taken several classes. I've taken classes in traditional glass. I've taken probably about 5 or 6 years every year. I'll take 2 or 3 classes at like Vitrum Glass Studio up in Beltsville, or I've also taken classes at the Lorton Workhouse. Lorton.
This is a new thing, art center. They have
a new
there.
art center. And so there are places around the city that you can learn how to do this type of work, or other. Lorton has fusing and traditional glass and torch work, which is what this work is.
So can you use their facility to do your work?
Only
or
if
not?
you're a student. Only if you're a student, and then you pay at Lorton. You pay a open studio fee to go work if you are already a student. I have my own equipment at my house. When the children moved out of the house, I took over the basement, and I have the whole basement now full of different kinds of equipment. Because I also make my own frames, so I have frame cutting materials.
Yes, I was just going to ask you, do you have a framer, to do?
Yeah, I do my own frame work. I'm trained as a professional framer, and I was...
As you can see, she's,
got to do everything.
This is not just one thing. She does so many things to incorporate, and also, you don't have to pay for anybody else to do it if you can do it yourself.
Right.
And all these frames, do they come also in the frames ready-made, or
the frames come in a long, about 6 feet or 9 feet or 10. It depends on the length. A long piece of wood,
cut it,
and then I cut it on a special kind of saw.
Finish it. Or is this the finish
Yes.
already there, so you don't have to do that?
Yeah, the finish, the design of the frame, like the outline of the molding is already like that. I don't cut that. That comes, you buy that from a frame supplier. I cut the frame to fit the size of the piece that I want to frame, and then I do all the backing. Putting the frame in, the piece in, and secure it, and then.
Then I notice also, in the middle, you have a. This is added later, or
no? That's how the frame came.
Oh, this is how I see the frame came like that. So,
like when you go to a frame shop, you will see up on the wall they'll have molding samples. That's the molding. Yeah, and that's exactly how it comes, only in long sticks. Yes.
And then you cut.
And then I cut them down to the size I want for my.
You must have a big production in your house, in your studio.
I took over the whole basement. Yes, we have a fairly large house, and I took over the whole downstairs.
And all this machinery, must be, the high temperature must be, dangerous to,
No, actually, the kilns are very safe. They run. My small kilns run on regular house current. And then I have one kiln that is a large kiln that I had to have a small rewiring job done to put in a 240 volt line, but it's the same as your washer, same as your dryer.
I see.
And they're not dangerous at all. They're UL listed, and they are very, very insulated. You don't even, you can, you got to be careful to touch them.
It does not reflect the heat.
No, they're very insulated inside, so that they're very energy efficient as well. They actually don't make our electric bills go up very high when I'm doing it.
That's fantastic.
The first year I had one, I kept track of my electric bills during a Christmas season when I was making lots of things, and we didn't really notice a change in our bill.
That's a good
It's
news.
amazing. You don't think that, but they're so well insulated that they don't really let that heat out. They keep it all inside the machine.
All heat is there was used.
Yes.
It's not, any waste to it.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. It's so interesting. And I like this pink piece there you have, like a nice, beautiful plate.
Yes, I wanted, these are new designs for me this year. I wanted to make different kinds of flowers. Of course, we're in just finished cherry blossom season.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right.
I have a dogwood one that I didn't have room for here. And then I have back in the back behind us a poppy.
Poppy seed, wow.
Yeah, the poppy
I like
one.
that.
And I just did different types of flowers. I want to do a sunflower, and I'm kind of thinking of what other flat flowers would work to make a nice big bowl out of. And then I made little bowls as well as a
Are they mostly
complementary.
decorative pieces, or you can
No, they can
actually
be
use
used.
it for, maybe fruit or...
Yeah, no, they are food and dishwasher safe.
Really?
Yes, glass is, once it's been fired, it's and it's actually
It's
fairly
durable.
strong. You don't want to drop it, of course, on concrete.
Yeah, of course,
But
yeah.
just like your glass dishes or your glass plates.
Do you make a plate?
Yes. Yep. I've made plates.
Plates too.
And I make them. I usually make like serving platters. I don't make
serving.
small
Yeah.
dinner plates, but
Yeah.
I make serving platters or serving bowls. And then like my vessels here, the folded vessels, they actually started out for the Orchid Society members. These vases are good because of all the little folds that are in the vase. Orchids like to have air down on their roots, and then all the little folds let air get down in the bark, down in there. And so I first started making these vases to sell at the Orchid Society shows. And I have a few. I have one back in the back that has an orchid in it that's been in there for a couple of years and, does very well.
But they need lots of light, do they?
Yeah, it depends what kind of orchid it is. Different
It
orchids
is.
do-
It's not
yeah.
like orchid is orchid, but it's
No,
not.
different kinds of orchid require different kinds of light. But you can also, as you can see, use it as a candle holder, or you could put a potted plant. These work very well for African violets because you can water from the side and not get the water on the leaves. Or just as a decorative piece, because they're also
Yes.
quite lovely on their own.
Oh, I'm sure, they
yeah.
add, some very, interesting, thing to the room, absolutely. Which is your favorite color to work with?
Mine is blue and yellow. I love the combination of blue and yellow. To me, at least for the vases, I try to make myself go in different challenge myself for different color
Colors,
schemes. Some of them work and some of them don't.
I think blue and yellow is, very famous in Provence, in France.
Yes.
This is, like they have a beautiful tablecloths and napkins and also some pottery there, in that
Right,
color.
right.
So that always reminds me of the, Provence.
Yep.
Oh.
I have some tablecloths from there that I use every spring for a show, and I'll put them out.
Oh yes, they're
blue and yellow
beautiful. They're
tablecloths.
beautiful cut.
And my house is painted blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you made, beautiful pieces too. That they look, lovely. But not only that, she is making, the pictures that you can put, of course, on the wall. decorative pieces that you can, you put it, to leave it on the shelf, or, as she said, you can hang it on the window too, so you can have, the light going through, so it look, the transparent. And beside that, I think she's doing some little things, for your hair, the hair, and she actually made it. She's wearing something, if you turn around. She made it, like a hair holder on, on her hair, which is a, interesting thing. So it just show you how, talented she is with all this beautiful, beautiful glass, and. She's doing this for a long time. And this is a little flower.
They see how the flowers, I wanted to show, the flowers start out as these glass rods. So you can see it's not sharp or anything, so you can, they start out, and I do them on a
and
propane.
This is how they sell.
Yes. I buy it at the store just like that. Yes,
and they come in different colors.
Different colors, yeah. You can get clear or different colors. And I do this work, the flowers are made on a oxygen propane torch. So very similar to a welder's torch, only instead of using acetylene, they use propane and oxygen. And I start out, so all of the flowers that are on these pieces, I'll start out and I'll make the little flower, usually on the end of one of these rods. So I use the rod as my base, and I make my flower petals and my flower.
But you have to have a hole for it. How did you put?
No, I don't have to. If you wanted to make this as a piece of jewelry, you could add a loop on the back and then hang it as a piece of jewelry.
Oh.
But I'm using them in my panels. So once I get the flowers made, then so like the poppy one here, I made a bunch of poppies, and then I laid them in a bunch of leaves and stems, and I made a hummingbird, and then I put them on the piece, and then fused it in the glass kiln in a way that prevents the flowers from going flat, because normally in the glass they would go flat. But I figured out a way to keep them dimensional. And I think I might be the only one who's figured out how to do this. I've never seen anybody else doing it. Where they're keeping the pieces.
This is a unique thing, as you can see, that she's doing,
they're very dimensional. So like you can see a little better here on these guys over there laying down, that they're up.
They're definitely three-dimensional. So, and you have is it a box there? Or?
It's another framed, it's just a frame with the dogwoods.
Oh, dogwood.
Yeah, with the dogwood. And then this one I made it so that the one leaf was coming out over on top of the frame.
Yeah, is this also decorative to put on the wall?
Yes, these are on the wall. These are all framed, pieces that would be on a wall. And they could be anywhere. They can withstand the humidity of your bathroom. They can be kind of anywhere.
This is lovely.
And
this said you said this is something that you can a little different than other one. This piece.
All of these ones in the frames are all made. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, they were all made with that dimensional method.
Three-dimensional.
Yes, three-dimensional method. That they're done in a kiln. I mean, once I make the flowers, they're adhered onto the glass in the glass kiln, so they're permanently on that background glass. There's no glue, or it's all done, with different pieces of glass and shapes and stuff.
Oh, that's such a clever thing to do. And I'm very impressed with the piece of glass, what you can do, to shape it in any.
Yes, that's what's amazing.
It is a very amazing, for the flat sheet of glass, you can drape it like a piece of fabric, in different shapes.
You can do all kinds of things with it.
All kind of things. So, what will be your next project? In the
Actually, what I'm working on and what started these flowers is I'm trying to figure out how to make orchids. I love the orchids with it's a flat, big petals, and then that piece that comes out to the front. I don't remember what the peduncle or something. And I'm trying to get to where I can make orchids that are dimensional and show that. And so that's where this eventually will go, is making the orchids.
Orchid, but you can, I'm sure you can do like something like that to make jewelry. Like this is very, very nice. For example, these flowers, if you can figure out how to put them together.
Right.
And I'm sure you figure out for all these things. I'm sure it's not difficult to figure out how to put them, as a jewelry or brooches. It would be nice to have like an orchid brooch or any of the flowers in larger, for example, you know, in a larger size to be a brooch.
The trick would be getting them strong enough that they are strong enough to hold up as jewelry and not break, you know, so easily. The nice thing in the frame is they're a little protected.
Protected,
you know,
and also you're not wearing. You
yes,
keep it
exactly.
on
Could you imagine,
on
you know,
on
something like this? I could imagine that it would be very easy to bump it into something and break the stem off. So that's part of what I need to be working is to get it stronger to where it could be a piece of jewelry. You know, you could easily put a loop on the back and wear it, but you'd have to be very careful where you're wearing it so that you don't break it. You know, because once it's broken, then it's impossible to fix, and it's it can cut you. You know, so you've got to be careful that it's safe to.
So
safe
the
to wear.
orchid is in your near future. Orchid.
Near or far future. I'm not sure which. I'm taking classes to learn how to do the glass better, and
So the
working
orchids
toward
come also different colors.
Yeah.
You know, like a light pink or white or, you know, they're very beautiful. You know, I wasn't really too lucky, I think, with the orchids. You know, I did not. The actually neighbor of mine, she has it, you know, for forever, I think. But mine did not last long. Probably I didn't know how to care very
Yeah,
well.
they require
They're very tricky,
very
I
specific
think.
care. Yeah.
And special watering and all of this. But anyway, you know, you know, this is very interesting. I like the pink plate. You know, the large pink plate is very beautiful one that you have there. You know, the large one. And this one with what is in? I cannot see it. What is in the middle there? What did
Down
you? No,
there?
no, the large platter. You know.
Oh, you mean there's just the stamens and the center flower part, and then there's a little bumblebee up on the top up here.
Bumblebee.
Yeah.
And so did you put this later when you
No,
finish?
I put it on. I did it all. You made all the little parts, and then you do it flat. You put it all, build it flat, and
So
then
you have that large kiln, you know,
Yes.
to put this.
Yes, this is about as large as I
The
could
whole
go.
thing can go in.
I think that was.
Oh wow, that's really interesting. But anyway, you know, as you can see, you know that we have really wonderful artists in our area. And I would like really to thank Linda for coming today and show us all this really mystery to me, and I'm sure to you, because this is something you don't see every day, how the glass is made. And it can come in different shapes, in different sizes, different colors. And then she looks like a place with that, like a, you know, little, you know, she has like a playhouse in her house, doing all these beautiful, you know, glass things. And really, it was fun. And thank you so much, you know, for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
And showing us how you do all these things. This is Olga Jevtich reporting for Fashion Notes. Thank you very much for watching. And I hope you turn on next time for another exciting artist from our area.